Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It means the absolute world to me. So today we are going to be discussing the It Cosmetics, I was going to say SIT, It Cosmetics Superhero Eyeshadow Palette. Now, exactly what this says, very interesting. Eye Transforming Anti-Aging Super Palette. What we're going to figure out is exactly how anti-aging this palette actually is. The box is pretty. It's got a nice soft matte feel to it. The superhero part here is raised. On the back, they are showing you the shades. It's a very, very neutral palette, which makes it very good for those who need a palette for an everyday look. As you will see once I open up the palette, they are cordoned off into eye looks that can help you create just a quick, easy look. Or, of course, as always, there are no rules in makeup. You can go and choose any of the colors that you so desire. They are saying that this has superhero pigment power technology. Now that's going to be interesting. I personally have just swatched this. I have not tried it on my eyes as of yet. I wanted to actually do that on camera so you can see my general reaction as to what I really think about it. Now this palette does have a 24-month shelf life, which I think is fabulous, and it does give you that opportunity to be able to use the palette in full. Inside you are getting a little pamphlet here that is giving you some eye looks and some tutorials for those who may not be so skilled or want some ideas. When you open up the palette, of course, it does have the protective shield. It does come with a nice sized mirror that says you're a hashtag real superhero, and it has the original founder, Jamie, her little signature there. Let me just talk about the shape of the palette. I actually like the curved shape because it does make it easy to hold onto if you have to hold onto your palette when you are doing your makeup. So as you can see, you have 3 lid and or transition colors on top, and as I mentioned, you have the trios of the different colors that you can create. A night look, a mid-tone look, and then a very, very natural look, but you can of course go and choose from anything that you so desire. One thing to note, and I've noticed that this seems to be a trend with It Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes. These pans here are only 0.88 grams a piece, and the larger ones are 2.45 grams a piece. 0.88 for a single eyeshadow is very small. I always talk about the grams. Always want to, if it is a concern to you, I happen to like smaller pans because I have the chance of panning them. But when you're talking about the price of them, you know, 0.88 is much smaller than a standard pan size, which is usually 1 gram to 1.35 grams. This is a very large pan of 2.45 grams because you're going to be using those colors supposedly more. In here you are getting basically a mix of mattes and satins, no real shimmers, so you're not going to get a super blingy look out of it. If you are desiring that, then of course you would have to look at another palette. I do like how they have my phone just never stops ringing, ever. They have the word superhero embossed on the larger ones, and they have on every single middle shade it. The word it is embossed in there too. It's a nice touch. Of course, it's not going to last forever. Now, just so you know, I am going to be going over all of the ingredients in this palette before I actually get to the tutorial. So I will put a timestamp down below if you are only interested in the tutorial. But the idea is to find out exactly how anti-aging this palette is. So I researched a ton of ingredients, what they're for, what they mean, and exactly how anti-aging they are. So if you are just interested in the tutorial, it will be down below. I'm almost tempted to turn my phone off because it is going to annoy the bejeebies out of me. Now the very first ingredient we have is mica, which you will find in many, many eyeshadow formulas. Some of them leave it without, and some have it in. Sometimes people have a concern about mica, but that is indeed the first ingredient, which gives the pigment and the sparkle to the eyeshadows. The next ingredient is magnesium stearate. Now, magnesium stearate is a lubricant. It's actually a product of sodium stearate, which is a salt. So it's a sodium-based ingredient. And the lubricant, that's what's going to give the eyeshadows that smoothness and a little bit of that slip. Next ingredient is hydrogenated, oh, this is a good one, polyisobutene. Big word. Basically, that is a synthetic oil. They are using that instead of mineral oil because some people have concerns about using mineral oil in their products. So basically, again, it's another type of lubricant to make the shadows go on smoothly. It also helps, do you know when you have trouble blending out an eyeshadow and the product just kind of sticks there? This also helps with the product distribution on your eye, again, so it goes on smoothly and is easily blendable. The next ingredient is isopropyl myristate. That is a combination of isopropyl alcohol, which you know is very drying, but it's also myristic acid, which is a fatty alcohol. Now those two create a synthetic oil which makes things easily absorbed. But now, according to EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group, they claim that it is an eye irritant. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes you have to take information from EWG with a grain of salt because they kind of go over the top with what they claim to be irritating, but it's just something to keep in mind if you have extremely sensitive eyes. Then, of course, the next ingredient is polybutene, which we know is a petroleum product. So you can see the first four things have nothing to do whatsoever with anti-aging. Let's keep that in mind. The next ingredient is the phenoxyethanol. The phenoxyethanol is a standard preservative that's put into cosmetics. We need preservatives in cosmetics or else they wouldn't last at all. They would become moldy and have germs, and we don't want that. But remember that once you get to the preservative, anything underneath that, the effectiveness of whatever it's supposed to be there is really not going to do much for you. So next, after the preservative, is where they actually get into the ingredients that are good for you and can be anti-aging. The first one being tocopherol, which is vitamin E, which is very good for your skin, but it's below the preservative. The next is retinol palmitate. Now, this is a very weak form of retinol because it is a combination of vitamin A, which is retinol, and a palmitic acid, which is essentially created from palm oil. So again, it's a weak form of retinol, but it is there, and the palm oil is good for you as well. But again, they're not right up front. The next ingredient is magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, or otherwise known as MAP. That is how they abbreviate it. And this is essentially a stable form of vitamin C. It is a product that is water soluble, and it is also, vitamin C we know is an antioxidant. Again, so these are good ingredients. How effective they are in this palette, we don't know. The next is Camellia. I'm sorry, no, that's a friend of mine. Camellia, I can't speak. Sinensis, which is just tea tree oil. I don't know why they couldn't have just said it was tea tree oil. This product is not vegan, by the way, because it does have a hydrolyzed silk protein in it. So this product, just for those of you who are concerned, is not a vegan product. Then they also list avocado oil, grapeseed oil, aloe, hyaluronic acid, olive leaf, and niacinamide in that order. And there are some other things in there too, but those are the insignificant. All of those things are excellent for you, but look at where they are in the ingredient list. How effective are they? I don't know. Do I think personally that I'm going to see any anti-aging effects from this palette? I would tend to say no. They do have good ingredients in there, I will give it to them, but considering the order and where they are, I don't know. Am I still going to use it? Yeah, because all of my other eyeshadow palettes probably don't have these in them. So it's still, but I just don't like when companies make these extraordinary claims that, yes, they can get away with saying that these items are in there, and that's what attracts people to it, but if they're not really effective, then they're kind of, I don't want to say scamming us, but tricking us into thinking that a product is better for us than it really is. Now that I have given you that ton of information, now let's get into actually trying these things in my eyes and see if I actually even like them. I have my mirror set up here. Of course, I have done my base makeup and my blush. I haven't done I did my bronzer, my blush. I have not done my highlighter, nor my brows or anything else. I like to do those after. So looking at this palette, I probably will do maybe, I probably will try on all 3 of these, but I'm really interested in trying this out. I want to see if these quads that they've created are actually easy to create one look with if you're just using that quad. So I am going to dip into these first because I do want to take this one all over my lid. This one will be too dark. This will be my crease color. So let's start with that. I'm going to start with my Sigma E35. You hear crinkling. Let me try to diminish the crinkling. I'm trying something new for some extra lighting. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to dip into this center color. Let me see if they have a scent. Nope, no scent. No real kick up in the pan, but as you saw in the tap off, it's very powdery. Just to note that this mirror does not bend backwards. And it's really not a bad mirror, to be honest with you, to be able to use. I'm just going to use the one in front of me, though. I was going to use eye primer, but of course I forgot. I just have a little bit of concealer on my lids. Again, not very notable, cannot really say much about the pigmentation or anything because it's just an all-over color. I'm also going to try going into this first one here. By the way, the middle one is called Pow. And the one I'm dipping into now is called Confidence. This Confidence seems slightly more pigmented. It is slightly pinkier, but it doesn't really show up pink on my lids whatsoever. Now I'm going to go into this one, which is called Magical, and I'm using my Sigma E48, and we are going to put this in the crease as a transition. Now this does have a slight amount of shimmer to it, so if you do not like putting shimmer in your crease, that may be something, even as a transition, that may be something to note. Now this is very, very lightly pigmented. Yes, this is definitely a satiny shimmer type, so keep that in mind. It looks more pigmented in the pan than it is showing up on my eyes. That's not necessarily a bad thing if subtlety is what you're looking for. Not everyone wants a highly pigmented palette because they are more difficult to work with. I think it does look pretty though. I will give it that. I'm actually going to dip into this shade here, which is called Darling. And I'm going to use my Carity E30 brush. This is the most matte shade to me in the entire palette, which is why I'm choosing it for my crease. And this one is extremely pigmented. You hear a lot of banging. They're still building that house next to me. And they work on Sundays. I don't get it. This is an absolutely beautiful shade. I will say that. I'm going to take my Juvia's Place 005. I want to give my lids more of a base because I'm not sure what color I want to go in with. So I'm going to take this color Aura, which is just a slightly satiny taupey color. It's a very, very pretty neutral color. I'm sure if you wanted a little bit more intensity, you could wet your brush. I do want to deepen up my crease a little bit, not my crease, my outer edge. And I think I'm going to use, I don't know whether I want to deepen it up with the black or not, which is called Superhero, but I am going to use one of my Definer Luxie brushes. I am going to try that black. Definitely a nice black. It's pigmented and it's not very powdery. I'm going to go back in with my Carroty brush and back into the color Darling that I used, and I'm just going to kind of blend these out a little bit. Let's get some color on our lower lash line. First I'm going to take this Fearless color, this pink one, and just run that underneath. I'm just taking my small Eco Tools brush, and I actually want to put this color Bold, this purpley one, on my lower lash line. I need to buff this out a little bit, so I'm just going to blend with another one of my Luxie brushes. I want to just try adding the Superstar into my lid and see what happens. I also want to try using my finger. So again, I'm going to go into Powerful, and let's see. That's a little too light, actually. A little too light for what I wanted. So I'm just going to blend a little bit of this. Let's go back into Superhero with my finger. And blend a little. I'm going to try Unstoppable in my inner corner and see if that does anything. Yeah, that's pretty nice. For my brow bone, I'm going to take Pow and just lightly put that above. I said, like you guys, I'm always surprised because I never know what I'm going to do. I'm actually kind of liking it. I think it looks really good. I think it was fairly simple. And I am going to go off camera and do some mascara and liner, etc., do the rest of my makeup, and I'll be right back in a minute. Hi everybody, I am back with the finished look. I actually just kind of ran a straightening iron through my hair just a little bit just to give it a finished look. So overall, I'm really happy with the palette. I think it's a fairly neutral palette that you can get a decent amount of looks with, all really on the neutral side. You're not going to get that glitter wow in your face type of look, and that's perfectly okay for me for the type of palette it is. I think the colors applied well, they blended well, but my final thoughts on my first impression on the palette is that selling it as an anti-aging palette, which for those of us who are aging, which is what we want to gravitate towards. I don't know about its anti-aging benefits, to be perfectly honest. I think you'd of course have to use the palette on a daily basis every day, even to see any minute effects of it. But the fact is, it's just a pretty palette that performed well. I think the original price was $45 or $42. I wouldn't have paid that for it. I did pay $20, which is the reason that I bought it. And for that price, I am extremely happy with it. Would I recommend the higher price? That would have to be up to you and how you feel about it. But I think it's a very useful palette for those who want to create nice neutral looks. And it's a palette that I am going to use and enjoy. Of course, I'm going to probably add pops of glitter on my lids all the time because that's just me. But overall, I'm happy that I have it. I will continue to use it, and I do like the look. I actually have to run out to the grocery store, so, you know what they say about meeting guys at the grocery store, maybe? I don't know, but that's what I'm going to be doing today. I do hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you were able to stick through the whole end and maybe you learned just a little bit something about the ingredients and what to look for in the eyeshadows. But wherever you are, I hope you are having an amazing day, an amazing week as always, and I will see you very soon in my next one. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would maybe subscribe and maybe give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. And I will see you soon. Much love, my friends. Bye.